Junie B., first grader. Shipwrecked. Written by Barbara Park. Chapter 5. The Winners. Monday morning. Dear First Grade Journal. 18 facts. I got 18 facts. I can't wait to choose my part in the play. This is going to be the time of my life, I tell you. From Junie B., first grader. P.S. 2 more kids are sick from school today, plus Lenny just went to the nurse. P.S. Again, Sheldon is wearing sandwich bags on his hands today. It is to keep germs off, I believe. Just then, Mr. Scaredy finished taking attendance, and he said to please put our journals away. As you can see, we're missing 3 more classmates today, he said, kind of frustrated. It's going to be hard to do a play with so many people absent, but we'll keep our fingers crossed that our classmates will be back in time to participate. Just then we heard a rustly sound. Sheldon was crossing his fingers inside his sandwich bags. After he got done, he waved to Mr. Scaredy, very pleasant. Mr. Scaredy looked at him for a real long time. Then he waved back. Finally, he stood up and walked to the board. Boys and girls, I thought it would be fun to base our play on the facts you gathered for homework, he said. He picked up the chalk. If you have a fact you'd like to share, raise your hand and I'll write it on the board. Then, when we've listed all our facts, we can choose our play parts, he said. Now, who would like to go first? Jose shot his hand in the air speedy fast. I would. I have a poem, he said. Then he jumped right up and he started to read. In 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. He had 3 ships and left from Spain. He sailed through sunshine, wind, and rain. Mr. Scaredy smiled. Nice, Jose. That's a great poem you found, he said. Let's see how many facts we can find there. He wrote them down. 1. Columbus was a sailor. 2. He had 3 ships. 3. He sailed from Spain. 4. The year was 1492. Just then, Sheldon started waving his plastic hands very urgent. I know the names of the ships, he called out. They're the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria. Excellent job, Sheldon, said Mr. Scaredy. He printed the names on the board. 5. Nina, Pinta, Santa Maria. Then Mr. Scaredy started to call on someone else. But Sheldon stood up and read more from his paper. Columbus sailed across the Atlantic Ocean. He landed on some islands near America, he read. Mr. Scaredy added the new facts to the list. 6. Sailed the Atlantic Ocean. 7. Arrived in islands near America. Okay, well, thank you again, Sheldon, he said. Now, I think we should let someone else have a... Sheldon interrupted. My Uncle Vern sailed to an island once, he said. He came back with a woman named Bunny. Sheldon kept on standing there. Aunt Bunny has tattoos, he said. After that, Mr. Scaredy hurried to Sheldon's desk, and he put him back in his chair. May went next. My fact is about the Mayflower, she said. The Mayflower is the ship that brought the Pilgrims to America. And so, I am going to be the Mayflower in our Columbus play, because both of our names start with May. Mr. Scaredy looked curious at her. Yes, but the Mayflower didn't sail to America until over 100 years after Columbus, he said. I know it, she said. But both of our names still start with May. Don't you get it? Yes, May, I get it, said Mr. Scary. But we can't change history, so I'm afraid the Mayflower won't be sailing in our Columbus play. May sat down in a huff. Lucille stood right up. My fact is about the Richie Queen of Spain, she said. The Richie Queen of Spain was named Isabella, and she gave Chris the money for the trip. So I am going to be Richie Queen Isabella in the play, because if there's one thing I know, it's how to be rich. Jose raised his hand. You shouldn't call him Chris, Lucille, he said. In Spain, they called him Cristobal Colon. Lucille made squinty eyes at him. Crystal ball, whatever, she said. A queen can call you whatever she wants to. She fluffed her hair and sat down. That's when I springed up, and I waved my paper all around. 18 facts! I have 18 facts, I said, real happy. And so listen to this, people. The Nina was the smallest ship, and the Pinta was the fastest ship, and the Santa Maria was a big old tub. Mr. Scary winked at me. Those are outstanding ship facts, Junie B., said Mr. Scary. Great job. He printed them on the board. And guess what? After that, Shirley told him even more ship facts. And so that's how the whole rest of the morning kept going. Room 1 kept on telling him facts, and Mr. Scary kept on writing them down, until finally we'd told him every fact in the book. Then, that's when the funnest part of all happened. 'Cause Mr. Scary walked around the room, and he counted how many facts each of us had listed on our papers. And wait till you hear this. He said, we have a tie. Because me and my friend Jose both had 18 facts. We jumped out of our seats and gave each other a high five. Then I skipped around in my desk, very joyful. Plus also, I skipped the pencil sharpener and back. Mr. Scary came back and shook our hands. He said we would choose our play parts when we come back from lunch. And so meanwhile, we should be thinking about what parts we want. Yeah, only I already know what part I want, I said, real thrilled. And it is the bestest part I can think of. Only I'm going to keep it a secret till after lunch, and so nobody asks me, and I mean it. After that, I pretended to lock my lips with a make-believe key. Herb turned around. You mean you're not even going to tell me? He said, kind of disappointed. I got out my key and unlocked my lips. Okay, except for I will just tell Herb, and that's all, I said. I locked my lips again. Jose frowned at me. I unlocked my lips one more time. Plus also, I will tell Jose, but that is my final offer, and I mean it. Just then Shirley did a big huffy. Okay, fine. And Shirley, I said. That's when Sheldon raised his hand and pointed to himself. Then all of the other children pointed to theirselves too. And so that day at lunch, I whispered my secret to everybody in room 1. But that was all. Chapter 6. Teamwork. After we got back from recess, Mr. Scary went back to the board. Okay, everyone, it's time for the big event, he said. We're going to begin choosing our play parts now. We'll start with Junie B and Jose. Are you two ready to go? Ready, hollered Jose. Ready, I hollered. And guess what else, Mr. Scary? I'm even going to let Jose go first, 'cause that will be very polite of me. Plus, Jose already told me that he wants to be Columbus, and I don't, so being polite will work out beautifully this time. I pointed at Jose. Okay, go, I said. Jose looked annoyed at me. But you already told him, Junie B. I want to be Columbus. I clapped my hands, real delighted. I knew it, I said. I knew being polite would work out good this time, on account of I want to be the Pinta, because the Pinta was the fastest ship, and the fastest ship is the winner ship, and the winner ship is the star ship. I skipped the pencil sharpener and back again. Mr. Scary said, please stop doing that. Being the Pinta is fine, Junie B, he said. But you do understand that our ships will not be racing, right? All three of our ships will be arriving together. I did a little frown. Yeah, only that's not how I actually had it pictured in my head, I said. 'Cause a race will be more exciting, I think. And so, maybe I will just arrive a little bit first. Like by an inch, or a foot, or half an hour, possibly. Mr. Scary shook his head no. This play is not about stars or winners. It's about teamwork, he said. You are more than welcome to be the Pinta, Junie B, but you can't arrive before the other ships. Got it? I did a big sigh. Got it, I said, kind of glum. Mr. Scary wrote my name next to the Pinta. Then he called on the other children to choose their play parts too. Lucille chose Richie Queen Isabella, and Camille and Chanel chose the Atlantic Ocean. Then my bestest friend Herbert chose to be land. And that is the importantest role of all, almost, 'cause without land, you can't actually land, probably. After Herb, lots of other children picked their parts too. Then finally it was May's turn. May had to go last because all her facts were about the dumb Mayflower and not about Columbus. She stood up very grouchy. All the good roles are already taken, so I guess I'll just have to be the tubby old Santa Maria, she grumped. Mr. Scary wrote her name on the board. The Santa Maria is an excellent choice, May, he said. The Santa Maria was the biggest ship, and it carried Columbus, you know. May sat up a little straighter. It did? She said. It really did? It carried Columbus? Nobody told me that before. She reached over and tapped on me. I bet you didn't know that either, did you, Junie Jones? If you knew that, I bet you'd be the Santa Maria, she said. I rolled my eyeballs at her. Of course I knew that, you silly head, May, I said. The whole entire world knew that, except for you, probably. May looked disappointed. She turned her head back around. I waited for a second to make sure she wasn't looking. Then I slumped down in my chair and tapped my fingers, very annoyed. 'Cause guess what? I didn't know that.